that when you're manifesting, you have to be in the positive and you have to know that it's going to happen, because you can't entertain two thoughts and say like, oh, but I don't really deserve it, because then you cancel it out. So you can't say, oh, I want this, but I don't really deserve it. You have to believe that you deserve it and you will get it. You just have to be patient and know that it's coming, and only stay in the positive. And, okay, it didn't come today, there's tomorrow, or there's the next week, and it's going to happen. And in this process, you're also learning how to be patient and wait for the things that are meant for you.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Chai With Us podcast. I am Erika, the personal developer.
And I'm Ivana from okoloizabells. And this morning, we're going to talk about spirituality. And the tea I'm drinking right now is a chamomile tea. What tea are you drinking?
I'm drinking sage tea.
Oh, very nice. I like that.
Yeah, it has like this, I don't know, it's like a little bit of bitter, sour flavor, and I love it. I forgot to tell you, everyone, this is episode number 9.
That's right. I can't believe that we're already on number 9.
Right? Like number 9, that's a month and a week.
Exactly, yeah.
This podcast on. I mean, I'm proud of ourselves, let me tell you.
I am too, yes. And thank you so much for all the listeners and the people that subscribe to us every week. We love it.
Yeah, thank you very much. Like, we are trying to improve and make things better every time. And it's so nice to see what do you like and when do you click the most and stuff like that. So thank you. Thank you very much. Even if you can just for a second and say hi to us.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. So today we're going to talk about spirituality, and it's going to be a new thing for us because we didn't prepare much today. So this is going to be like a real conversation, real, the realest one we ever had, because we didn't prepare anything.
That's right.
So where do you want to start, Ivana?
Well, let's talk about what spirituality means to both of us and how we define that.
Yeah. Okay. So spirituality for me, it's more or less like a way of living. It's like the connection I have, like the deepest connection I have within myself and with the universe.
Oh, I really like that.
Yeah, I feel like I am a spiritual person. I wasn't a spiritual person before. I used to be like an atheist, but I didn't relate to that. I just said that. You know what I mean? Luckily, I was raised in a way where I got to choose if I wanted to be religious or spiritual. And this is one thing that I'm really grateful for, that I got to choose, and I was not indoctrinated to be something. So, and then when I grew up, I realized that I am a spiritual person, and I love it because that's where I find my connection with the universe.
I would agree with a lot of what you said. Like, to me, spirituality is knowing that there's something bigger outside of yourself. And so, like, what do you connect with? Or like when you're meditating, you feel like you're going somewhere, and it's like that space. I think being spiritual, you understand that there's something greater outside of ourselves, and things like yoga and meditation help you move along your path to be more spiritual and to connect with these spirits, or whatever you want to call them. Sometimes, like, we sometimes call them signs, like signs from the universe. Have you ever experienced that? Have you ever received a sign from the universe and you knew that was a spirit?
All the time.
That's because maybe you're connected to it.
Yes, and the more I connect to it, the more signs I receive. And I am very active on it. I ask for signs. If I'm going through something, I'm like, universe, please tell me, what do I have to learn so I can move on?
And how do you do that? Do you write that down? Do you say it out loud? Like, how do you ask for a sign?
I have real conversation. I speak out loud. And sometimes in meditation, but usually my meditation is more silent, so it's not like I have a conversation, I listen, but usually this is as simple as saying it out loud, like, universe, please, I need some guidance here, okay? I'm losing my so help me.
Can you give me an example of when you asked for a sign and you received a sign and you knew that it was from the universe? Maybe the one about your apartment. I like that story.
Yes. So my apartment. So I spoke about where I used to live in a very so it was a beautiful house, but I was very uncomfortable. I didn't like
Mhm.
the people who lived with me and everything. And I started manifesting a few things in my life. And one of the things that I wanted to manifest was like the perfect house for me. So I learned that I should ask for signs from the universe. And I wanted to ask for a sign that was like very difficult, you know. I didn't want
Okay.
to, a wooden door. That's not a sign. Like you see wooden doors everywhere.
Yes.
And my sign was a yellow bird.
Okay.
So I was looking.
Now, how did you know that was your sign? Like, did you know that before it happened, or just the bird appeared and you're like, "That's my sign"?
No, I just tried to think about the thing that would be the most crazy thing to ask as a sign, and
Okay.
yellow bird just came to my mind, and I said, okay, this is gonna be my sign. I just
Okay.
accepted it. So I was walking around, visiting houses and everything, and I almost had like I almost accepted to have an apartment, which was not what I wanted, and something was happening all the time. The universe like,
Mhm.
be patient, wait for your sign. Like, what are you doing? And I was kind of not believing. I was like, is the universe gonna really send me like a yellow bird? Am I crazy? So then one day I came to this house where I live right now, my apartment, and I was looking at the apartment. I was like, oh my god! It was from a student of a friend of mine, and they showed me the house around, and the price was crazy. I was like, when they told me the price, I thought, okay, I don't know. I was expecting a different thing. And I'm like, oh my God, this is like so much space. I can have my yoga studio and everything. So when I was about to leave, I noticed that there was a plate with a yellow bird on it. And then I look around and there's a lot of like artsy stuff with yellow
Okay.
birds on it. And I'm like, okay, this is my house. Okay, yes, yes. Where do I sign? And I accepted the house. And this is, I mean, come on, this is no coincidence. And I receive
Uh-huh.
different signs when I'm in doubt with something, and I say, ask the universe, please give me a sign that I'm doing the correct thing. And usually I find cards on the floor. I look for the
Yeah.
meaning, and the meaning is like, you are on the right path, or blah, 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 blah.
Uh-huh.
Yes. I just
And would you say that a lot of our signs come in the forms of animals?
uh, not for me,
Okay.
not for me. For
For
me,
me, I think it's always with the animals, like what animal appears and what that
huh.
means. So, for example, like when I'm talking to someone, let's say a spider appears. Well, a spider, like what does a spider represent? Maybe like something like, they're very, what's the word I'm looking for? Like manipulative, or like somebody's cooking something up. And so like when it appeared in the conversation, like what does that reflect? Is someone like trying to manipulate you? What is happening? But I love the signs that I always receive in India. It's a peacock. So when my friend was visiting and we were in Sri Lanka, we would hear peacocks all the time. Like everywhere we went, we would hear the peacocks. And then we get to India, and in our hotel room, what's on the door? It's like the peacock room. Like it was on the door. Like inside were pictures, tons of peacocks. And so what I love to do is I look up what does a peacock represent, and I read everything that they represent and what it means, and then I understand what the sign was from the universe. But I love looking up like animal symbolism, especially things like a rat. Like people tend to think that rats are bad, but they're
Mhm.
not. It actually means that it's a sign of Ganesha, right? The god of removing obstacles. So if you have a rat that comes by, like it's supposed to represent like an obstacle that's going to be removed, or it has to do with the sense of directions. So when I was in Bali and I was eating my food, a rat ran a certain way, and I looked it up and it says it's the direction the rat goes, that's the direction you need to move to. So like you look up, did it go north, east, west, south? Like which way did it move? And the way that it moves, it's showing you a sign like you should go that way.
Wow, wow,
So
that's
I've started I
interesting.
started to learn that, like, like I was afraid of spiders and I was afraid of rats. And now I just started seeing them as symbols, like to represent something, to be, because I think that's how I connect to it spiritually is seeing all these animals and then looking them up. And before I went to the hospital when I was in India, a praying mantis appeared, and that is a very spiritual animal, and it means that a lot of change is coming your way. And it's very, like, for me, I've never seen a praying mantis in my life ever. I didn't even know what it looked like, and it was sitting right underneath the chair where I always have breakfast. Like, it was meant for me. Like, that was like the universe giving me that sign.
Okay. Okay. And don't you think it's funny? Like sometimes it happens to me where I see a sign and I'm like, no, this is not for me. And then I see it.
Yes, yes,
It happens
absolutely.
to me so many times. I'm like, is that sign for me? It happens with numbers, right? I see a number and I'm like, is that for me? And then I see the number again. I'm like, okay, that's for me. And I pay attention to that. I would also, do you remember when did you become spiritual, or when did you become aware and accepted that you are a spiritual person?
Well, my very first spiritual experience happened in a yoga class. I was in a heated yoga class and we're in Shavasana, and I felt like I exited my body and I went somewhere else. I felt like I was levitating. And then I had this thought of like what it would have been like to be my mother's womb, surrounded by warm water and just swimming in warm water without any expectations, without any fear, without any obligations, without a purpose, like just being in this protective environment and not needing to do anything else, but just enjoy being surrounded by warm water. And so to this day, I love being or going to water because I find it very cooling and very meditative. And so remember that like the Puchati, we take a dip in the Ganga, and afterwards, like you feel like that energy of the water is rushing through you. Like hours later, you still feel like there's something in you that's like rushing. It's from the Ganga, like that happens. So I think the more I started working at the ashram, the more I accepted that I am spiritual, and how much the different elements can affect us, and how nice it is that when we're in tune with the different elements that can help us feel better.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
about you? What would you say was your first experience?
Meditating.
Yeah.
When I was meditating, I basically had this experience where I didn't feel my body anymore. And I was just, I don't know, I was just one, I would say. And it was like a very beautiful experience. Like I realized that there is this source and there is this energy around us. And
Mm-hmm.
I just felt it, I think that people they need to feel it, because I was very,
So let me ask you, how did you feel when you tapped into what you call source energy? Like, can you describe what the feeling was like?
yeah, I just felt free and weightless. The
Ah, yes. Mm-hmm.
weight, like freedom and this sense of that there is no weight, and I also had a well, I had a few experiences that were actually extreme.
Okay.
One of the experiences was I was sitting down meditating, and all of a
Mm-hmm.
sudden I was brought to a situation in the past where I could
Okay.
see the situation from outside, and I could see also what I think were my guardian angels,
Okay.
and they're they're willing to help me and to be there. And I saw
Mm-hmm.
other experiences, and I felt the same presence, like
Okay.
telling me like you are not alone. And like I
Mm-hmm.
knew for sure, and I now walk like I am not alone.
Exactly.
I don't feel alone ever, because I
Mm-hmm.
know I have this presence with me, and I know
Mm-hmm.
that there is this energy moving around, and it's with me all the time. Like sometimes I
Okay.
forget about them, and
Mm-hmm.
then
But you feel protected, would you say, in a way?
yeah, I feel protected. Yes, I feel
Mm-hmm.
protected, and I really feel like I'm not alone. I feel like I
Mm-hmm.
got company. I got company.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes,
Sometimes
I do.
I talk to them and everything, and I'm like, oh, okay, you could give me a hand with this.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I feel the same way. And to me, I feel like my ancestors I feel like the people that are with me are my ancestors, like my grandmother and maybe my grandfather. So they're not strangers. They're people that I've known that are like helping me. And the way that I always see a sign is that, like, I was at Amma's ashram once and I was like praying and meditating outside of the temple, and I kept asking for this thing. I was like, why isn't this happening? Like, I just want this to happen. Like, come on. And then this feather fell into my hand, into my open hand. And that was like a sign. And I think that's like, I respond to feathers. So every time I find a different feather, because the feathers have different meanings. If it's black, if it's purple, if it's gray and white, or completely white, they represent different meanings. And so to me, I'm always like looking where I'm walking. If I see a feather fall from the sky, that's a sign for me. Like, it's absolutely like a sign, like you're going maybe down the right path. Or to me, it represented patience. Like, you know, when I was asking for this thing and the feather fell into my hand, that meant be patient. You have something coming your way. It's just not going to happen right now. Like, so just wait.
Yeah.
What about you? Do you feel, because you talked about manifesting, how would you say what manifesting represents, or what does that mean?
I mean, manifesting is just basically put something out there, you know, just to be sure that your wishes will be, you know, your wishes will be achieved, your goals will be
Mm-hmm.
achieved. So
Okay.
we have also a part in life, because
Yes.
some sort of energy out there, and according to this energy, something is going to happen. And a lot of
Yes.
people don't believe in manifesting, but I mean, you have to manifest from a place of love. You have to
Mm-hmm.
manifest from a place of believing. If we're manifesting
Mm-hmm.
and we don't believe we're going to get it and stuff like that, it's not going to work. But I know for sure that when I believed something, I achieved that thing. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yes.
Never happened to me like I want this so bad. Some
Mm-hmm.
things in my life, like I cry over it. I'm like, I
Yeah.
want it so bad that I cry. So when
Okay.
I have things like that, they happen. I ask
Mm-hmm.
and I receive. For
And I
sure.
think it's a very important point that you made, is that when you're manifesting, you have to be in the positive and you have to know that it's going to happen, because you can't entertain two thoughts and say like, oh, but I don't really deserve it, because then you cancel it out. So you can't say, oh, I want this, but I don't really deserve it. You have to believe that you deserve it and you will get it. You just have to be patient and know that it's coming, and only stay in the positive. And, you know, okay, it didn't come today, there's tomorrow, or there's the next week, and it's going to happen. And in this process, you're also learning how to be patient and wait for the things that are meant for you.
Yeah, yeah, and we should also know that when we're manifesting, we are asking the universe to level up things for us.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
in the meantime, we shouldn't be like, you know, just waiting for this to manifest. Like
Yes.
you should do things.
Mm-hmm.
You should walk towards it, not just like,
Yes.
okay, I want this and I'm gonna sit down and wait.
There's that story that I think everyone knows. It's a man that there's like a big flood and the man is sitting on his house, and then a lifeboat comes and he's like, no, no, I'm waiting. God is going to save me. And then like another boat comes by and he says, no, 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 God is going to save me. And so he finally dies and he appears in front of God and he says, God, why didn't you save me? He said, I sent two lifeboats. Like, what more did you want? Like, I tried to save you, but you didn't listen. So I think the message behind that is that listen to your signs, and then it might not come in the way that you wanted to what you were trying to manifest, but be open to it coming in a different form and accept it when it's coming towards you. And I think we talked about that a little bit in the last podcast, when we're like, we want something so badly that we forget about everything else and we're saying, no, 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 this is not what I want.
Yeah.
Maybe it's coming, because you talked about that with the job. Do you
Yes.
remember, like last? Yeah. So I think it's about being aware, watch for the signs, and then accept. Okay, accept what's coming towards you. Accept it as a gift from the universe. Don't say, oh, no, 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 that's not what's supposed to happen.
Yeah, and like consider it done. Just consider it
Exactly.
and live. I always say this, like live like it happened already. I mean, if
Exactly.
you want to be a chef, you can still cook and live in
Mhm.
purpose and cook.
Mhm.
You want to help people, just help your neighbor. Just live like it already happened, and you will see that it will come. It's on
Yes.
its way.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, can you tell us like what the last thing is that you tried to manifest and it happened?
My life.
Everything in your life.
Ah, oh God. Yeah, so I really try to manifest my life and the way I live my life in general. Uh,
Okay.
I really, I really think that my relationship, that the relationship I have with my boyfriend at the moment,
Mm-hmm.
is 50% hard work and 50% manifestation.
I love that.
Because
Yeah.
I was very specific about what I wanted.
And we talked about that in one podcast where you said you wrote like 3 words. You remember that?
Yes,
Of like
and
how,
I
yeah.
asked for specific things. I
Yes.
wanted my relationship to be reciprocate. I wanted my relationship to be honest, and I really looked for that, you know. And
Mm-hmm.
I say it was hard work because I was meeting other people, and I was like, okay, no, that's not what it is, and
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
and I was patient, and it came. And
Mm-hmm.
actually, it's like I think it's 50% manifestation. Of course,
Yes.
I was working on myself. I wanted to be that, you know, I wanted to be honest
Mm-hmm.
as well. I wanted
Mm-hmm.
to be integrated as well. But yeah, but I needed the universe to bring this person to me,
Yes,
you
to
know,
you. Yes.
because I wasn't actually looking for this person.
Mm-hmm.
I was waiting for this person to come, and then
Yeah.
that's where the
I
universe.
think it's important to also remember is that like when you're looking for love, to make your life all about love with all your relationships, because you can experience love from your parents, love from your friends, love from your coworkers. So create a life of love, and then the person that you're looking for is going to find you, and you're going to be together.
Yeah, yeah. Another thing that I needed to do was really to open my heart.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I spoke about
Yes.
this in another episode about relationships, but like I was working on letting go of the past relationships
Mm-hmm.
and everything because I needed to open my heart. And not
Mm-hmm.
only open my heart like in a very rational way, but in a spiritual way as well. Like
Mm-hmm.
open up. I wanted my heart to do like, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And you know, yoga helped a lot.
Yes.
You hear about heart opening postures
Yes.
and meditating over some mantras really
Mm-hmm.
helped me a lot. Besides the personal development work that I already
Yeah.
shared with you in this podcast, it helped me a lot. I was very intense
Yes.
about it.
I still remember the first time I felt like my heart open and the energy just surging out of it. And now was at Amma's ashram. And Amma is, some people call her a saint, is she is a guru that's living in India and Kerala. And many people believe that if you go hug her, it's supposed to change your life. So the last 4 years, I've spent Christmases there to celebrate Christmas. And each time I was going to get a hug, I wasn't really feeling anything. Like I didn't like, some people are like, oh, it was the most amazing thing. Other people were crying. And I wasn't really experiencing anything until the last time that I was there and she hugged me. And then all of a sudden, like, I remember like looking at her and instead of seeing her eyes, I saw my eyes looking back at me. And it was this like strange experience. And then I sat there for like 30 minutes. I could feel my heart opening and all this energy like going out of my heart. And then maybe about 4 months after that, I had this very intense dream where two birds that they were like two eagles, and they were like staring at each other in their eyes, and then they saw this like white light exchange between their eyes, and then they both just disappeared into light. And the dream was so intense. I woke up, it was like 1 in the morning, and I felt like so full of energy when I was awake, and I couldn't go back to sleep for hours after that. And I feel like that was a dream that she sent to me, and in a representation it was like, you're looking for a guru, but the guru is also within you. Like guru just means
Yes.
like, moving from darkness into the light. And so everyone can be their own teacher. A guru is just someone who has already experienced everything that you're going through, and it's like, lending you a hand to help you along your path. But it doesn't necessarily mean that they're their God and you need to worship them as a God. It's just the person that has already experienced what you've experienced, and now they're there to help answer any questions you might have along the path. But that dream was so intense, I'll never forget it. I still think about it. And to me, it was like, like she is within me. Even when I'm not there, I carry her inside of my heart. And, I've learned so much just being there and being in her ashram.
That's so beautiful. I love this story. Like every time I hear this story, I'm like, oh, I love this story so much. And I love one thing that you said as well about the gurus. Since today we're talking about spirituality, I think it's very valuable what you just said about
Yes.
gurus who are people that already know some things, that may
Okay.
know a little bit more than you, that they may be more prepared, but they are not God. Uh,
Exactly.
and in this community that we are a part of, in the spiritual community and movement, we see a lot of crazy stuff of,
Yes, we do.
people treating gurus as God and gurus trying to portray themselves as God or
Yes.
superior to us.
Mhm.
And that's not the case. They are just normal people, and we talk about this all the time. Like, they are normal people, they are human, they are going to make mistakes. There are a lot of things that
Mhm.
are coming out from the spiritual communities, like
Yes.
abuse and stuff like that, and we have to remember that these people, they are not saints, they are just normal people with sometimes beautiful knowledge and everything, but they are not God, like you said.
Yeah.
So cool.
And I think a lot of people that come to an ashram, maybe like they're trying to heal from cancer or disease, and so it's like their last straw, and they hope that like just by like being in the guru's grace that they're going to heal immediately. That might be true, but most of the time you're also going to need to do the work itself. Like you're going to have to stop smoking, you're going to have to stop doing the drugs, being an alcoholic. So it's both ways. Like the guru can only help you so much, but like the story I just told about the lifeboat, you have to get on the lifeboat yourself. Like you have to save yourself
Yeah.
before the guru can help you.
Yeah, yeah, this is so true. Like, I believe in getting knowledge from different people.
Yes.
Like, get knowledge from different people, listen to me,
Hmm.
listen to Ivana, take whatever you want to take, and then move on. Like,
Yes.
nobody is going to tell you the absolute truth. Like, the absolute
Hmm.
truth is like what you say, what you feel
Hmm.
in your heart that is the truth. And I love listening to different people. Like,
Yes.
I can, in one day, I will listen to, let me think about it, Gary Vee. I don't know if you know this guy, but I will listen to Gary Vee. I will listen to Deepak Chopra, maybe. You
Yes.
know what I mean? I go to different people and different sources,
Hmm.
and make my own opinion. Like, we
Yes.
should trust anyone blindly. Like, not even
Hmm.
yourself, because we make mistakes as well. Everybody makes mistakes. So
Hmm.
do research, yes, but just, no, nobody's God. Ivana, you said it like,
Yeah.
I want to say it better this way.
Yeah, because I've been in a lot of ashrams and I see what happens and I see the type of people that go to the guru. And there's a particular person that I saw in Rishikesh that I really don't like. I'm not going to say the name,
Mhm.
but I didn't like the way that this guru treated the people that were asking questions. It was very like the person would ask questions and she would demean them, or she would refuse to answer questions about it, and would say like, how dare you say that, I will not answer that. And I don't like that. I think, this is such a sensitive subject, and being in spirituality, and people are coming and they have authentic questions they want to ask. As a teacher, you should answer their question to the best of your ability, but not demean them and make
Of
them feel
course.
worse and
Yeah.
scared and feeling like they made a mistake or that they're not going to receive your love and grace because of that. I really don't like mean people, is what I'm getting at, especially if they're gurus.
Yeah, I mean, they're just people, as we said, and I think it's really a shame. And it's like, people go to ashrams and to spiritual places because they put themselves in very vulnerable situation,
Yes.
right? So they go there with their heart open and to really willing to learn and to change their lives into
Hmm.
something better, and like to take advantage of this position of power. For me, it's just really it doesn't make any sense.
I agree.
And I think that everybody should use their common sense, basically.
Yes.
Just look at this person and see what is this person about. And
Like a guru within you is going to activate something that you need to clear up. And so like the more you're with them, the more you're going to start working on yourself to become a better person. And I feel like that has happened to me just by being in the ashram atmosphere at Amas. Each year, like something happens where I'm like, okay, I'm not responding the same way I would have done before. Like you talked about how like now both have so much more patience than what we had before.
we do. We do have a lot. I'm so surprised right now with the way I felt with everything, the
Mm-hmm.
quarantine and the way we have this podcast. There's so many things going on in my life right now, and I'm just
Mm-hmm.
surprised at my level of patience and yeah.
It has a lot to do with like you said, letting go. Like you go there, you meet the guru, you hug the guru, you tell them their real problem, you ask for blessing, and then you leave it at that, and you let the universe take care of it. And the universe will take care of it by presenting you with certain maybe conflict or certain experiences to help you grow from
Yeah.
what you initially asked for. Like every time I've been in Amma's ashrams, I would have either really good roommates, I would have horrible roommates like that would be like screaming in the middle of the night. So I've had everything from the good and the bad. And it has shown me that I can live with anybody. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't matter like what country they're from, what culture they're from. I can live with pretty much anybody and get along. But you need to have open communication and respect each other's space. But I've definitely, there's been so much learning experience just going there and being in the ashram.
Mhm.
What I didn't like is that sometimes people will like come over and tell you not to do something, and then they say, "Well, Amma said to do this." Well, that Amma didn't really say that. You think Amma said that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because we see it by with our lenses, right?
Exactly, but it's like people are in an ashram, and let's say there's like 3,000 people there. People want to have control over something, and sometimes that turns into like control of other people by telling them how to do things, or telling them that they're doing something wrong, or that they're not allowed to do something, because this control makes them feel in charge of their life. Which maybe they don't, let's say they have like cancer and they don't know how to control that and they don't know how to heal from that. So then they start acting very nasty to other people, and the other person doesn't know that's what's happening with them, because you never know what a person has going on inside of themselves. But like you said, you know best. You know what I mean? Like you know how you feel inside, and you know whether to listen to that person or not listen to them. Or like now, I just go about my own way. I just like thank you so much for your advice, and I do my own thing.
Right, because spirituality is, I think that it's something so, so personal.
Yes.
And when I was in India, I felt that a lot of people were, I don't want to sound, I don't know, but they were searching. You know what I mean?
Yes.
They were
Yes.
searching, they were trying, they were forcing themselves
Yes.
and pushing themselves to be enlightened. And like,
Yes.
I mean, I don't think that's how it works. I don't
No.
think that's how it works because this enlightenment, if we're ever going to get there, we're probably going to get this in silence,
Mhm.
sitting down in meditation or in prayer. Like, it's not going to be like about, okay, you can do some extreme things and put yourself into
Mhm.
exhaustion and then have an amazing experience. I don't know what that is. But I mean, spirituality is not about, I don't know, looking for
I
the
know what you mean. I know.
outside. And
Mhm.
if I do this program, yeah, maybe. But I just think that some people are trying and pushing so hard, but so hard that
Yeah.
it's like spirituality is there. And how do you call it when you're sick and you have to use something to walk?
Oh, a walker,
Yes,
like a cane, like a
exactly.
crutch.
They use spirituality like a crutch, basically.
Mhm.
Like, I mean, and spirituality is not a crutch. Like, it's not something.
Exactly.
It's
Spirituality is supposed to make you a better person. It's supposed to make you more loving, more in touch with the universe, more
Mhm.
open to other people. And I think what you're talking about is that people are in their masculine energy because it's all about like doing and going and being, instead of in their feminine energy, which is more receptive and creative. And so I completely agree with everything that you just said. I believe that the more you're searching for it, the further away it's gonna get from you. You should like start with one thing and stay with that thing and see how it works for you. And
Yeah.
and be open, be receptive, be open to receiving, right? Like don't be so
Mhm.
closed off. A lot of us are closed off, and so then we can never receive what we're actually looking for.
Yeah. I mean, most of my spiritual experiences were I was sitting in silence and it was like, you know what I mean? It's not that I
Yes.
was more relaxed. I was not looking for something, you know, I was
Mhm.
there. And I really don't want to sound like spiritual happenings have to be like this event, you know, even my
Exactly.
experiences that were very, I know, a little bit crazy for some people.
Mm-hmm.
I think spirituality is way more simple than we sometimes portray it, right?
I think so
Because
too.
we can be spiritual and walk down the street normal as a spiritual person, you know, sending love to people
Mm-hmm.
in silence. That's being spiritual as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's not so woo-woo, and I mean, we are normal people. Sometimes people, you know, I say, okay, I'm spiritual, yeah, and sometimes people are like, what does that mean?
Does it mean you have a skull in your bedroom and are praying to it?
You crazy? Like, what you think that you are automatically, some people, not everybody, okay, sorry for the
Yeah.
generalization over here, but some people think that you are like, I don't know,
Part of a cult?
part of a cult. They think you dress a certain way, you
Mm-hmm.
know,
Mm-hmm.
like this would be vain. How can a spiritual person wear this crazy lipstick and all through
Yeah.
here? And like, being spiritual is not about it. I think we can be spiritual and love money and love clothes
Mm-hmm.
and enjoy the things of life, because as a yogi, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, there's this material world, there's a spiritual world, there's a dream world, and I would love to enjoy them all and not to run
Exactly. Yeah.
the material world as well, just because I'm a
Mm-hmm.
spiritual person. Don't you agree that there's this, I don't know, this misconception, the spirituality?
Well, yeah, there people believe that if you're spiritual that you are in part of a cult, or if you go to an ashram, it's a cult, and I would completely disagree because most religions are a cult. Like you're worshiping the same. They are. You're worshiping the same thing. You know what I mean? Like if you're Catholic, you're worshiping God, right, on a cross, and everyone believes the same thing. Well, that's kind of what a cult is as well. You know, it's just that cults have, like, that word has gotten a bad rep, right, because of what has happened with people that were too extreme, right? That maybe, you know, like what happened in Texas where all those people, or Utah, where they drank the poison and died. So I think cult, the word, has gotten a bad representation of what it means, and now people would say, "Oh, you're an ashram, you must be in a cult," and they are. That's not true at all.
Mm.
What do you think about that? Like, what do you think about the definition of a cult and like how people have misinterpreted it?
It's how you said it. I had a conversation with my boyfriend about this because we were watching Wild Wild Country. Well,
Oh, okay,
I
yeah.
watched it before and I said, you have got to see this. And so we went into a very large conversation about a cult that I was telling him, that's a cult. And he was like, no, it's not a cult. They say it's a cult, but it's not a cult. I mean, that's a cult. That was a cult.
Yes,
But yes, all the, you know, Catholics and all the religions, they are cults. Everything is
yes,
a cult. Then you have the abusive cults, and you know all the crazy nonsense that we see there. But that's a cult. And sometimes I don't think that the going to an ashram is a cult, because when you go to an ashram, at least I wasn't pressured into being Hindu or whatever.
okay. Yes, I don't think anyone has ever pressured anybody to be Hindu. Hindu,
Oh,
I think, is something that people come to because, like, Hinduism is the way of life. It's not necessarily just worshiping the different deities, because the deities that Hindus worship, they're all just forms of energy, right? And it's like mythology. Like, this god represents this type of energy, this god represents this type of energy. So Hinduism is a way of life, which I think is that's why we love going to India so much, because you see that their practices in every day, right? Like in the way that they cook, in the way that they go to work, in the way that they clean their house. Like their Hinduism is their life. It's not necessarily just like a religion. Like we go to church on Sunday and then that's it.
yeah, exactly. But like I don't consider, I don't know if some ashrams are considered like you were going to a cult, but the ashram I've been in, I don't consider it a cult. Everybody had their own opinion. Different people from different
Mm-hmm.
backgrounds and different religions. We were there to do a program to learn. Um, and
Yes.
walk around. So if that's a definition of a cult, I don't know. They must have changed it the last time I checked. But
Yes. Well, at Amma's ashram, it's a little bit different because you have like 3,000 people there. She sits on stage and there's like this massive picture of her. And then at night, for an hour and a half, they're singing kirtan. Remember we did kirtan? Like they're chanting
Yeah.
different mantras and they're singing. And so at the end, they go Jai Ho, Jai, like they like do this Jai Ma, Jai Ma. And when you have like 3,000 people doing that, it's forming a type of energy there, right? Like there's this like really like uplifting energy that's happening when you're there, and you can feel it because it's such a force and there's so many people chanting. If you feel like the whole ashram is like booming. And so I think that if you go to an ashram like that, maybe people could see how you could be part of a cult, which I completely disagree with, because no one has ever
Mhm.
forced me to be in a cult or believe anything I didn't want to believe. Like even at Amma's ashram, you can do your own practice. You can do what you want, you know, like they just ask that you do karma yoga and help out a bit. But other than that, they leave you alone, which is why I love that ashram. Like you are left like, and you can do your own practices.
Mhm. And that's it. I totally agree with you. I haven't been to Amas Ashram yet, but
We're
yeah,
going together soon.
maybe yes, yes, yes,
Yes, I'm putting it out into the universe.
yes. It's out there. Yeah, and like I can understand because since I was until I was I don't know 25 years old. I don't know. I'm very bad with the numbers and stuff, but I was grown up and I was not spiritual, and then I became spiritual. So I can understand that from the outside, when you see, you know, dozens or hundreds of people meditating and doing this kind of weird movement, you will be like, "Uh-oh,
Exactly,
okay,
yeah.
what in the world is this? What am I doing with my life?" Yeah,
Hmm.
that that's weird. That's weird for us. For us,
Exactly, because
because
you're looking at it from the outside,
we have this
an
illusion
outsider.
mind, yeah. Because it's
Hmm.
normal for you to kneel down, to do like this, and pray to God, and tell a
Hmm.
stranger everything you have done. But it's not weird. It's weird for you to meditate with hundreds of people and feel the energy.
Exactly.
That's
Yeah.
how I think that people, we should be more open. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Just
Open.
have your opinions, but be open to other opinions. Maybe try it out. I tried some meditations that really didn't sink. I didn't like.
Hmm.
It was weird. I didn't like.
Hmm.
And other meditations and mantras, for example, it was something that I had difficulties with it because I didn't feel. I was like, what? I don't know. I felt
Exactly.
strange and it was a new thing, and I like, am I supposed to chant this? Am I singing?
Hmm.
It's weird. But now I
Yeah.
don't care. So I know that from the outside it makes look and sound very crazy, but I don't know. Give it a try. Maybe you'll like it.
Yeah. I think spirituality is like a path to connecting you to the source and changing you to live a better life. Like that's how I would define spirituality. Like making you the best person you could possibly be. Like that's like the angel that's on your shoulders. Like
Yeah.
that's what I would consider spirituality. Like you deciding to turn to the angel inside of you instead of to the devil, because I think we carry heaven and hell within us. Like that's my belief, that like, you know, you maybe go through like a few minutes of hell, a few minutes of heaven, but they're both inside of you, and you decide which one you want to listen to daily.
Yeah, and I also want to say that I have nothing against religion, everybody. I feel like I was kind of bashing religion.
No, we're not.
Wrong with that. And I think that religious people are also spiritual, but
I
spiritual
agree too.
people are not usually religious. That's
I agree.
usually what happens. So
Hmm.
I think that if you are a religious person, you are a spiritual person. What I'm
I
against
agree too.
the extreme is like when you go to the extreme of anything, even
Hmm.
spirituality, because some people that say they're spiritual have some behaviors that don't go well with this
Exactly.
thing.
Yeah.
So we have all sorts of people in all fields, religion, spirituality,
Hmm.
both. And yeah,
Yeah.
I wanted to say that.
We would love to hear from our audience about your spiritual experiences. Like, what does spirituality mean to you? Have you had a spiritual experience that you'd like to share with us, and how did that feel? And Are you more spiritual, more religious? Like, we would love to check in with our audience to hear your comments.
Yeah, that would be very interesting. I would love to hear from people. And if you want to share with us what spirituality means, just
Hmm.
in your personal perspective, I would love to hear that, because I think it's very different and personal for everybody. The way we
I think so
experience
too.
spirituality, it's
Hmm.
very different. You see, I look at you and you see all these animals and everything, and I'm like, you see these
Yes, I see all the animals, and they're real animals, okay? People, like, they're not imagined animals.
and I get a lot of numbers as well. Do you know I'm the numbers girl, right? I always
Yeah.
I send like 1 minute and 11-second messages, audio messages. I will text you at 11:11,
Yes,
even though you are in a different country.
I know what you mean.
That and yeah,
I
and I just
I think there's signs all around us. It's just that, like, when we wake up, we start to pay attention and we start to see signs. But before, we're so in our own world of like, oh, I got to get to work, I got to do this, I got to get home and make dinner. We're not paying attention to anything. But once you like go within yourself and your intuition and your gut, and you start to see all these numbers, maybe the money that's being deposited into your account is a specific number. You start seeing these different animals. Maybe
Mhm.
you have feathers dropping from the sky. Maybe you're getting different messages from your guardian angels that are showing you which path to take. You start to pay attention to those. But I believe that signs are always around us. We just have to be open to seeing them.
Yeah. Like what would you tell people that want to that they feel that there is something else out there? Like where do you think these people should start? Because for me personally, when I'm setting my goals, I also want to have my spiritual life in check, you know? I want to keep going with my spiritual practices and everything. But now I know what to do. If you're starting,
Right.
what would you say to people who are
I would say start the same way where I started, which was just yoga. Like, first you start doing yoga for the physical exercise of it, and then what ends up happening is that you become like spiritual as a result, because you start to have all these different experiences the more you practice yoga. So I would recommend just starting with the simple yoga poses like Surya Namaskar and doing that sequence,
starting?
because that's what worked for me. But that's been years. Like, I first started yoga in 2008, so that's like 12 years now. And I don't practice every day. Like, I'm not, oh, every day I have to have my practice. No, I try to do at least 4 days a week, and I do my own thing. But I would start with yoga, and then it just depends on who you are as a person, right? Like, are you a person that's more intellectual? Well, then what might help you is start reading some books. And then when you read the books, you might see, I had the same experience. For example, like, Adayashi is a person that a lot of people follow, and he said that when he was 27, he had a dream that he was going to die at 27. I also, as a young child, always thought that I was going to die in a car accident when I was 27. Like, I knew that my life would end at 27. Well,
Hmm.
my car accident happened, but it happened when I was 30, and I didn't die. I just happened to have hit my head on the window, and my whole life changed because of that. Like, that's how I found out that I had an autoimmune disease, and I started eating healthy, and I started living a better life and taking more care of myself, because I knew that I didn't have any other choices. So
Mhm.
it was like this like psychic foreshadowing. Like, I don't know where it came from. I have no idea why I had that belief. But when I started reading and I'm mispronouncing his name and I'm really sorry, but when I started reading him and I found out that he had the same thing, I was like, okay, I'm not the only one. Here's somebody else who also had that experience.
Yeah.
So if you're more like of an intellect person, maybe start listening to Sadhguru. He really appeals to the Western mind. There's this amazing talk on YouTube where he talks to physicists and they discuss what is consciousness. I always tell people, go watch that video. It's absolutely amazing. So if
Go
you're more
watch just
intellectual,
whatever you find from Sadhguru.
yes,
Great.
yes. Because I think he explains things so beautifully that you can, like, it makes sense to you. It makes sense to the modern Westerner, like, okay, I know what he's talking about. So if you're intellectual, do that. If you're a person of action, start practicing karma yoga. Start doing some selfless work without compensation and without getting a thank you. And you start to see, by you giving more to the earth and to your surroundings, you're going to get more in return, because everything you give is multiplied. So maybe if you're a person of action, start maybe going to like a soup kitchen and feeding the homeless people, and you'll start to see how your life starts to change. And then maybe if you are like the bhakti, like the worshiper, maybe start listening to mantras and start chanting different mantras and see how you relate to that, like if you like that. So I would say that it depends on what you are. Like, are you a person of action? Are you a person of intellect? Are you a person of worship?
Yeah.
And then start to find things that work for you.
Yeah.
Because spirituality is so broad. Like all the things I mentioned, that is spiritual. It's so broad and it appeals to so many different people.
It is so completely true, and as I said before, I really believe that it's a personal thing. The only thing I would add is just try meditation.
Yes.
Because meditation really opened myself up. You know, yoga was the first step, just like it happened with you. And once I started practicing yoga, I could be more calm and relaxed to meditate, which is why the yoga is here for. That's why there's yoga. And meditating really opened myself up to the spirituality. And the experiences I have felt in meditation help define my spirituality and my way of thinking. Even though I read, I watch videos, Sadhguru is one of my favorites of all times. And yes, there are a lot of people out there that are so cool. I love Jay Shetty as well. Jay Shetty has a perspective which is very spiritual but also very practical. And I think that as an introduction, he's great because he gives you a little bit of both worlds as well. Like the modern spirituality.
Yeah, and I would like to also say Eckhart Tolle, like The Power of Now. That's a very good book to start off if you're starting on your spiritual path because, you know, yes, it's very good. And he talks about it like how to be present in the now, and it makes you look at your life very differently.
Yeah, that leads me to mindfulness. Mindfulness is also a beautiful spiritual practice. Yeah, that's somewhere. It's a very good place to start, actually. I never thought of it. Yeah.
It's true, yeah. Or maybe you can just start going to pujas. I love pujas. When I was at Ammas Ashram, I went to over 100 pujas. Like I was there all the time, and it's so beautiful when somebody is performing this this fire ritual and praying to the gods to help all people like relieve their suffering. It's very powerful too.
Yeah, and just one last thing: if you are into it and if you want to try, journal the experience. So you can have a different insight on what is happening, so you can process what is happening. Because when we start in this world, in this process, in this journey, we kind of sometimes we feel like I'm crazy.
Yeah, that's true. I know what you mean.
Dreaming.
That's why it helps, like to like maybe like see Adayashi or Sadhguru, and because they explain the things that what's going to happen to you.
And I want to tell people that it's normal, especially if you have a group of friends. Like we spoke about this before, we all had a different group of friends, and then we started to change, and our group evolved as well. And so I had a group of friends. When I started telling the story, they would be like,
I know what you mean.
I believe I have a guardian angel. Sorry, what? What?
Yeah.
You're crazy.
Yeah, it's true. It helps to be around like-minded people. Like me and you can talk about spirituality all day long. And so I think that's what helps is being surrounded in a spiritual community.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to share?
No, I just love this topic so much. I could be here forever. We're these kind of people that I had this dream, and we're like for 1 hour discussing the dream.
It's true. It's true. Because when you're dreaming is when you're working out all your problems that you had during the day. So it's important to write down your dreams and what they were about.
Yeah. I had this dream, but I'm gonna tell you after the podcast because people don't need to hear that. You don't need to know my dreams, everybody. I need to keep something.
I'll be your confidant.
I don't know, everybody. I think that's it. If you have any questions, if there's something that's on your mind that we should cover, just let us know and tell us like what topics do you want to hear next time, maybe.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Our email is chaywithUspodcast@gmail.com. I always place this here so you can read it and in the descriptions it's gonna be there anyway. So yeah, thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you very much for joining us this morning, and we'll talk to you very soon. Namaste.
Namaste. Wait, my cup was in the middle of my so namaste.